Right, so we haven't actually got an Arsenal game to preview this weekend. Of course, it's the international break. There were some big talking points in the latest England squad, one of which was Miles Lewis-Skelly being called up to the seniors for the first time. I think, we all expected that to happen. Like you said, one of the best left backs in England right now. And looking at the competition in that squad for left backs, there's no real out and out left backs. I guess, Lewis Skelly's the main one. You've got, Dan Burn, Livramento, Levi Colwill can cover on that side. So looking ahead to the Albania and Latvia games, can you see him starting maybe one or both of those games?
I could certainly see him starting one of those games. Like you said, the options aren't exactly fruitful for Thomas Tuchel when it comes to the left back. I mean, we don't know what formation he's going to play yet either. Is it going to be wing backs? Is it going to be four at the back? We've seen him play wing backs before, so we'll wait and see. But it was a deserved call up for Lewis Skelly, no doubt about it. As soon as some of the injuries started to happen to other sort of players in his position, you kind of felt like, yeah, it's going to happen. I like the fact he didn't call up Nwaneri. I have to say, I've said that before, that I do feel like, although I'm sure he'll be in the World Cup squad come the time the tournament rolls around, I don't think there was an absolute necessity to put him in right now. And making the step up to 21s is enough for him. I think in an ideal situation, the same would have been said for Lewis Skelly, but because needs must, and some of the players who'd sort of dropped out in terms of left back situations for Thomas Tuchel, it just made sense, and he'll be fine. He's a really good kid. He got proper sensible head on his shoulders. He's got a really strong support network around him with his family, and so I'm sure he'll be fine and he'll deal with it. And if he is asked to start, which I do think he will do in at least one of the games, as I said, I think he'll absolutely cope with it perfectly well because he's stood up and coped with everything he's had to deal with so far since he's come into the first team at Arsenal. And I'm sure he'll just look at England as another sort of stepping stone on his career.
Yeah, nothing phases him, does it? It's
No.
incredible for an 18-year-old kid. Just, he loves, he thrives in those sort of, those big games, those big battles, obviously with the Haaland stuff, which we won't go into, but he loves those situations. But
Mm.
in his press conference, Tuchel talked about a sort of a parental vibe in talks with Lewis Skelly. So he's played a lot of football in recent weeks, and he's only 18 years old, of course. So do Tuchel's comments reassure you that they will manage him properly?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Arteta says it himself, and he knows that Tuchel's a very good coach. He's got a good sort of coaching staff around him. There's people like Declan Rice in the squad who are absolutely going to take Miles Lewis-Skelly under his wing when he's there. Harry Kane's fantastic leader, role model, so he'll be perfect for him. I've already seen a lot of the pictures from St George's Park, and Declan Rice is not far away from Miles Lewis-Skelly in a fair few of them. So, the England squad, it's not like it used to be, the whole clique sort of thing from back in the day in the golden generation and all that. Man United this side, Liverpool that side. It's not really like that. Gareth Southgate, for all of his sort of faults at a time in terms of sort of what he did on the pitch and some of the decisions he was making sort of tactically, what he did behind the scenes was fantastic, and it was absolutely needed at England, and it brought everyone together, it brought the squad together. And even though Southgate's gone now, I'm sure that's going to continue behind the scenes. And so I don't think Lewis Skelly will have any sort of issues. Like you said, there's a sort of good, he'll have a good network around him in the squad with the coaching staff and the experienced players as well, who'll be able to, if he does need any help, which to be fair, I don't think he will, but if he does, there'll be players there he can turn to and who'll look after him.
Certainly so, yes. And I found it interesting what you said about Nwaneri. You agree that the under 21s was the best for him right now, but you look at the current, I don't want to say state of the England attack, but obviously Saka not there, injured, Madueke out injured, and
Mm.
you'd expect when Saka hits full fitness again, Nwaneri's game time will go down quite a bit. So, was this arguably the best chance for him to get into the senior squad?
I don't know. I don't think so. Not if he keeps playing the way he's playing. He's not just a right winger. He's kind of we see him as a right winger now because Arteta's been using him there because of the injuries. But so I think before this sort of injury crisis happened at Arsenal, when you were asking us where do you think Nwaneri plays, I think we were probably looking more central than right winger. So I still think there's plenty of options there, and I still think he'll play plenty of minutes even when Bukayo Saka comes back because you know, how long have we sat here saying that Arsenal needed someone to, of top quality to be able to rotate with Saka or maybe even Martin Odegaard? And they have that now, and they haven't had to dip into the transfer market and spend 50, 60 million pounds to do it, which is fantastic. So you've got to take advantage of that. And, this time has been so important for Nwaneri in his development and really sort of becoming established first team player, but he's played too much. He's absolutely played too much. And I think you've seen in recent performances, certainly in the league anyway, that he's having a little bit of a dip, which is totally understandable because he's such a young kid and he's been thrown in and asked to do stuff that at the start of the season none of us would have predicted. We all thought he'd play some minutes, but not to not starting week in, week out in the Premier League week after week. So um, I think he'll still get plenty of minutes. I still think he'll be involved in and around the England sort of setup. I think the 21s is a good stepping stone for him now. Probably, maybe even at the start of next season. We'll have to wait and see. But I just don't think there's any rush. He's still 17. I think he's just about to turn 18. But I think he's still 17. So there is just absolutely no rush when it comes to him.
Yeah, that under 21 squad is stacked, isn't it? It's
It is.
packed full of quality this month. It's incredible. But speaking of Arsenal's young players, you've spoken about how Mikel and the coaching staff need to show that there is a pathway to the first team to stop another Chido or Aiden Heaven situation when they leave the club. And you said that with Max Dowman as well. The fact that they're not just in Lewis Skelly's case, he's not just now a first team regular, he's also now in the England squad. Should that be another incentive for these Hale End talents to stay and think, okay, we can really make it big at Arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, you don't really have to look at what's happening with Aiden Heaven at United, and fingers crossed that injury is not as bad as it looked, by the way, because that was horrible to see against Leicester. But they don't have to look at these players at different clubs. They just have to look at what's in front of them at Arsenal. And you've got two players who at the start of the season, we thought would be in and around it, maybe get a bit of game time, but no, they're playing constantly. And now they're both, one of them was very much talked about to be in the England squad. He didn't make it, but it was talked about, and the other one did make it, and is probably going to start for England. So it just shows you will play and you will get minutes if you earn them, if you warrant them at Arsenal. And so it's perfect. It's a great example for players to look up to coming through at Hale End. And I don't buy into the fact, people will be looking at what happened with Aiden Heaven, how quickly he's got into the first team, and think, oh, that's a reason to leave. It's like, well, no, because you just have to look at what's in front of you in the first team at Arsenal right now.